Welcome to a special combined episode of Success with Style and Fun and Fundraising podcast. I am your host, co-host today, Rob Giardinelli.
Hi, everyone. It's Lance Avery Morgan. We are absolutely so glad to be here with you and with our special guests, Michael Harold and Quinn Peeper, who are the authors of Classical Shindig, which I think is going to be the biggest bestseller of the fall.
I think so, too. From an entertaining perspective, there's nothing better.
Well, here's hoping. I had seen an advanced galley proof of what you two wildly talented gentlemen had done, and it is really cool. And I did screenshots. I'm inspired. I have a digital file of all the ideas that you guys have shared in your book, and I think the rest of the world, hopefully they're ready for it, because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hope so. We're looking forward to it. I know that this is the first time. Well, we've never written books before. This is a first.
Tell us about that. What inspired you to write Classical Shindig? And obviously you're great entertainers, but what inspired you to even, because it's a lot of work, obviously it's a lot of work to photograph it and write it. Give us a bird's eye view of what the thought process was behind that.
Yeah, it took like 3 years to put this together. It took forever. Had no idea it would take this long, but Quinn can share how it started.
Yeah, I think we wanted to kind of preserve some family history. We have some great cooks in my family. I've got an aunt who wrote a cookbook, but I have a mother and a father who are still around, and we wanted to preserve family history, recipes. We reminisce a lot about entertaining and food. Those are the happiest times when we all get together. And so we were trying to get specifically my mother to part with some recipes, because, food is control. And for years, she's not been forthwith, but when she heard we were under the gun with publishing and everything, I think she came forward, and she did a great job. And I don't know, Michael and I just both, what we have in common, we came from families where we sat down at breakfast together and we sat down at dinner together. And it's just, the end of the day, exchange of ideas. It was a celebration like every day, a rite of passage.
Well, and family and friends mean a lot to where you all are based, which is New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And so and I've never been to a bad party in New Orleans, by the way. I mean, they're all
we all know how to have fun.
Pretty off the chain.
I completely concur with that.
It almost seems like in your book that New Orleans is a character with you two as your third character in the creation of the book and your point of view. Would that be true?
Yeah, that's very true. It has a lot to do with our book, because we this is our second house together. The one we have now is built, we like to call it the Bellum house, because it was not antebellum. It was built right during the war. So we call it the Bellum house but it's a grand old home. It's got all these soaring ceilings, crown molding. It's got that special look that you really only see in New Orleans and old southern cities. And the house was a side-by-side double, and it was owned by a woman who threw parties all the time, which is pretty funny. And she rented out the other side, and we converted it from a double to a single.
Yeah, a double in New Orleans is, some people might refer to it as a duplex. Now, we had one friend who called it a double wide. It's not a double.
He was never invited back, sadly, I'll bet.
Oh, yeah.
We love her. She keeps coming back. The house is a great house for throwing receptions and parties. It works. It's really, really a fun place.
Well, it also plays a character in your book too. It's, I've seen your house photographed just from almost every aspect there is. And the way that you have created the different themes of your parties is really fascinating. I know that Rob had a few questions about that.
Well, what I really found fascinating kind of looking through the images was the range of the types of things that, that you all throw. Mm-hmm. So, what people, a lot of people, when they get intimidated by entertaining, is that people feel that they kind of have to be one-dimensional in their entertaining. And what I liked as I flipped through the book, I was constantly surprised at the various, either it was the attire that you wore or it was just the various settings. Talk a little bit about how important, throwing different types of events is to keep, guests engaged and having guests wanting to come back to things that they throw at your home.
Yeah, we like variety. And I mean, going back to New Orleans, it's a great city with a calendar of events, and everyone looks to the calendar for something and for home entertaining. And one thing we do have is Mardi Gras, which is this fantastic thing that happens after Christmas holidays. Everyone's depressed. And on January 6th starts our carnival season. And it's just new excuses to throw parties. But getting back to your question, you asked us about
just throwing, various ranges and various
Correct.
different
Themes,
types of parties that really keep your guests wanting to come back to the various different types of things, that you throw, because you do throw a wide range of various types of events.
Yeah, our book is arranged into different sections. So one is called seasonal celebrations. And that's, based on different seasons in the calendar year. In New Orleans, we live in parishes, not counties. So it's a lot of the old church calendars involved, and that's how Mardi Gras gets involved. But, Christmas and autumn and then spring, that's wonderful. Then we are also members of a book club. And as far as themes are concerned, a book club is, the selection of the month is usually full of settings and possible things, that could provide interesting menus. And that always makes a great dinner party. And I think we have 5 or 6 selections that we used in the book for that. And then nonprofit organizations, if you entertain and volunteer to use your house, usually those organizations will have a theme that they're working with. So it's easier to incorporate that into your entertaining. It's not that difficult.
And plus, if you have somebody you're entertaining, maybe somebody from out of town who has a special interest, let's say a musician, then we'll throw a party and we'll say, okay, it's to celebrate Beethoven, and we'll all play Beethoven's music on the piano, or we'll have Austrian food. It's just a challenge to do something that's a little more thematic. We've been doing this recently, and we've been finding this is one of the funnest things to do, is to get a group of people together and grab a play, and Noel Coward especially, and assign everybody parts. And they come in and we read the first part, and then we'll do the second part. And it's absolutely hilarious. Even people who are shy and don't think they're actors, and who they start reading and everybody laughs because the play speaks for itself. It's a really fun thing to do. We've just been doing that in the last few years.
That's a great idea. Now, do your guests get more talented with more cocktails into the party?
Oh, yeah,
Of course
for
they
sure.
do. Yeah.
Like the line delivery gets better.
Some put in costumes. We say you don't have to wear a costume, and then they show up with wearing a housekeeper's outfit or something like that. It is really a fun thing to do.
That's a great idea. In fact, I want to do that. I think that's very inspiring. So for instance, how did you get that inspiration? I'm curious.
I think when I went to Oxford University, there was a wonderful Don there who used to give these fun house parties for the whole weekend. And, there was some studying involved, of course, but then he would always assign a play. It was usually Noel Coward, and assign people roles. And it was hilarious. It's a great way to get to know other people that you haven't met before. And as time goes on during the weekend, you end up being really good friends, finding a lot of things you didn't have in common, and everybody has a ball.
And I grew up with a family of game players. We had games all the time. Just games were big. And so we have parlor games after our dinners, which we love to do, trivia stuff, or even charades. It's cutthroat. Charades is one of the greatest house game you can ever play. I mean, it gets.
I think you really find out about a person with how they play games, first of all, with their competitive level, and to me personally, how they play charades. And I'm not judgmental at all, but just don't be dumb, right? You got to the party smart and ready to deliver. Be a good guest. That's how I look at it.
You get somebody on your team who's terrible. Oh, it's awful. It's painful sometimes, but it's fun. It's still fun. Everybody laughs. It's not mean.
Sure.
Well, it can be. Actually, it can be mean. But
so, I had a question. You touched upon something earlier. That you host a whole range of things, including nonprofit events, and a lot of our listeners are heavily involved in that space. What is, for any organization asking, and I'm sure you all get asked all the time to host stuff, what compels you all to say yes when a nonprofit or when someone or a friend even asks you to host something in your home?
Well, I think you have to have passion for whatever the cause is. I mean, if you don't have passion, it's hard to be authentic. Right. And I think these days it's very, very obvious if you're doing something rote and you're not authentic. So, I mean, you have to espouse the values and the mission of the nonprofit. That's very important. But, usually they give you such good ideas of what their anticipation is that they'd like you to do. It's not that difficult. We're fortunate in that we have, a bartender and a housekeeper who are always available, and they love coming because we have really good postmortems after these parties.
Oh, I can
Uh,
imagine.
Oh yeah, the cleanup is just as fun as the event, maybe
Oh, yeah.
even funner.
Okay,
Uh,
what is the wildest thing you have ever uncovered? And for those who may not be familiar with the postmortem, that basically just means, the things that you're doing after the event to get your house back to, or the venue back to where it was, before the event, and also reviewing, some of the things that you all talked about
Ooh.
during the event. So what is kind of one of the wildest things you all have ever encountered, uncovered in a postmortem?
For me, it's two socialite ladies having a cat fight. We had a guy that came
My
here.
favorite kind.
Oh, we had a man that came here, Robert Sackville West. He came to speak about his beautiful home in England, and he gave a presentation. We threw a dinner party, and we threw a lot of people who the organization wanted. It was a nonprofit called Royal Oak Foundation, and some woman didn't recognize another woman, and she said, "I'm mortally offended. How dare you not recognize me? I went to your boarding school." And oh my God, the poor Englishman was like, "I cannot believe what I've just encountered. This is like,"
yeah,
this-
we had to take him out to some bars after the already late dinner party, and then we ended up at Cafe Du Monde eating beignets.
That's what he
to
wanted.
try to get him to cool
What?
down. Yep.
Oh man, that was pretty funny. And we also, when we give to nonprofits, we serve on a lot of boards. And okay, selfishly, I serve on a lot of music boards because you get to sometimes meet musicians. New Orleans is a small city. It's not like New York. So, but we get good acts that come, really good quartets and chamber music. And I serve on the board, and I always volunteer for the hospitality committee, which means sometimes I go pick up the musician at their hotel, famous, world famous people. And we like to throw the reception for the pianist because we both play the piano.
And we have a tradition where we like them to sign our piano. We get a Sharpie and they sign the harp. So I don't know if a picture of that made it into the book, but our piano has a lot of great signatures of
big names signing the piano. It's so cool.
That's incredible. Do you ever, I mean, how often would you say that you perform at your parties? Because I'm sure it's a request to tickle the ivories.
A lot. Everybody wants us to play, and it always happens after Food and Wine when we're not.
And wine. Yeah, they wait till at a lot.
Well, I love it.
Usually we can't tell the black keys from the white keys. How about breaking into a little list right now?
And I need to collect the cell phones and say, do not think about recording this right now.
Absolutely. No videos allowed.
No, not after dinner.
Well, it's I'm glad you're bringing up, the piano piece, because the title of your book, Classical Shindig, is tied to, your love of music. So talk a little bit more about, the title and the book and kind of how that, came all to be.
Yeah, classical's not a coincidence.
Yeah, classical. Michael wrote the section on classical. It's at the very beginning of the book.
Yep.
And then I wrote the section on Shindig. So
yeah, he has a funny Shindig story.
Yeah, the Shindig goes back to my childhood when my grandmother, she was a big hostess and used to volunteer her house for all kinds of things. And so there was going to be a funeral, I guess reception. I don't know what they call these gatherings or something. And I made the mistake of calling it a Shindig. And I think she just took offense. The Shindig might mean, some alcohol, some dancing. And this was a Southern Baptist funeral thing. So she was like, don't ever say that again. And, she would always commandeer us grandchildren into helping, prepare for this event. So that's how the Shindig got to be on the title. And then classical, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, we like classical architecture. We like classical music. I don't know. I feel like classicism is something that it's a theme that we sort of enjoy. So we mixed the two. We had to think of music and food, and we came up with classical and Shindig as a title.
Well, and I love that your chapter titles also are an homage to music, with some of your probably favorite songs that help to illustrate the chapters, which is very, very creative, which I wanted to talk about your creativity, because hopefully all of our folks listening in are creative, but maybe not. So is there any like piece of advice that you would share on a novice creating perhaps one of their first few events? What would you recommend to a host who is endeavoring upon an entertaining route for their personal life?
Well, I would say that, sometimes the planning part of an event is I don't know, can be the funnest part of all. It can be funner than the event. I mean, I've had a lot of hosts to say that picking out what they're going to wear before a party is their favorite part of the party. You know, so I wouldn't be intimidated. I would, look and see what's happening. Is it a book? Is it a piece of music? Or what are the friends? What are the friends have in common? What brought all these people together? And
Right.
usually find a thread, or if you can't find it that way, look outside. What is the season? I mean, if it's autumn, you can go for those beautiful red, brown, yellow, orange palette, or if it's spring, bring the outdoors in, bring in the, blooming azaleas, flowers. And before you know it, you've got your party covered.
Got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Michael.
So when we started, I had a small apartment. I had just finished law school. I had my first job. I was not making a lot of money. And I ended up having people come over to the apartment for food all the time. And I thought, like, I don't know why I was not that intimidated, because I would have people with a lot of money or people with means. They didn't care. And so I really do think, I mean, our book's not an advice book. It's not a how to give a party, because I'm not a chef. I mean, this is not our job to be entertainers or to throw parties. It's just something fun. So, but I do find that anyone loves to be invited to somebody else's house, and they don't care. You get Popeye's fried chicken and you might put it in China, and everybody's happy to be at somebody else's house because a lot of people are afraid to bring others in their house, and they're intimidated. I mean, I say, don't be. It's really fun to be invited to another house. I love it.
I love that.
The Duchess of Windsor had some interesting quotes about this, and actually, I think the pressure and the stress is really on the guests, because, as she says, nobody has the right to come to a party and sit there like a piece of furniture. If you accept a dinner invitation, you have a moral obligation to be amusing. So, with practice and over time, I think anybody can entertain, and the pressure really is on the guests.
Right. Well, that leads me to my next question, because a lot of people, especially for a seated dinner party, they get all caught up in the seating arrangement, right? Of who sits next to whom, who will be interested in whomever. Do you guys have any secrets to seating that you can share with us and our listening audience?
Well, go ahead. You first.
Well, I think I think it's important to separate couples as a rule, unless it's a real insecure person. The other thing, I mean, I'm a doctor. The other thing I try to be cognizant of is, some people may not have hearing in the ear. They'll usually tell you or something like that ahead of time. But I think mixing things up provides for more interesting conversation.
Okay.
Certainly, if we have out of towners, I don't like putting too many New Orleans people together, because they'll gossip about people in town. So that's not always good to have. And we seem to always throw dinners and put name place cards. You can write it on a Post-it note. It doesn't really matter, but we like to have designated spots. So when somebody walks into a room, they don't say, "Tell us where to sit," and then they don't
long pause, and
it's awkward.
It really makes all these formal things really make they came into being because they make life easy. I think they make life easier.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There. And, I want to touch on a couple of things you both brought up earlier. And, Quinn, I think what you brought up about the planning being as fun as the actual event itself, because, as, Lance and I get to go to lots of different things, we can always tell if a host is having fun. So I think the fact that, you bringing up that you have to have fun with it through the entire process is extremely important. And Michael, I love what you brought up about a great party has a great mix of people. And so long as you have a great mix of people, it doesn't matter what you serve. Like you gave fast food as an as an example of that. So, talk about why having a mix is so important, and just having a good mix and a good attitude coming in.
Oh, I think it is important. Yeah, it's nice to have the mix is good, and it's nice to have somebody who might get along with somebody else, and you're sort of setting them up for friendship. I just had a party. We had a friend's birthday, and I put two people whose mother was from the same little town in Arkansas. And I thought, you all need to meet each other, because you both have roots in the same little town called Magnolia, Arkansas. So I throw this dinner and I put the two of them next to each other. Well, they're best friends suddenly. They're doing everything together, and their grandmothers knew their grandmothers, that sort of thing. I think it's fun. It's fun to, I don't want to put two people who are opposite political spectrum and get them talking about
No, well,
politics.
you know
That's
what? We
the
don't want to
worst.
talk about politics. We don't
No.
want that. We've seen that destroy families, and
Ugh.
so no, we totally steer away from conversation like that, because I think that can be, devastating not only to a dinner party but
Yeah.
to the rest of the week for everybody at the table.
Well,
Yeah.
and dinner parties also are meant to be fun, and that's not necessarily a fun topic. Whereas growing up in the same town and realizing your grandmothers were friends, that's a much more fun element that brings out all kinds of different types of sides of your personality that aren't something that is easily recognized or noticed the second you walk into a room.
Yeah. If they don't like each other, put them on the same charades team.
There you go. Well, we have a high flying socialite pal who entertains for like 300 to 400 in her home. She has an indoor pool, and so she's seating around that. And so I asked her the same question off the record, and she said, and this again for larger events, she says, put all the boring people together. They don't know they're boring. They'll be fine.
That's
Instead of mixing, an extrovert and introvert and seeing, how that usually doesn't work out that great. So I think that you guys, with the instinct that you have with seating, makes total sense to me for sure.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to remember that.
Well, but it's also different, to Lance's point, it's also different doing an at-home dinner party, when it's, 10, 20, 25 people versus 400, the calculus and kind of how you're going to approach the guests and kind of where and how they're going to be seated is going to be remarkably different. So, would you all mind sharing kind of how you may approach certain types of events in different ways at your home?
Oh, I know exactly what we do. If we have a dinner, we only fit enough to sit around our table. That's it. We don't have huge dinner parties. We don't have a house that big for it, but we
Well,
do.
I honestly, I can't stand people eating around the house. I really want you eating at the table. I can't stand.
Yeah,
I have too much of a passion for textiles and invested too much in them for somebody to like spill something.
Burrito on the couch or something. Right. Our method is, we figured out the best way to do it is when we entertain with like 70 plus people. Let's just say it's a reception. We put all the food in the dining room, and it's all finger food. You pick it up with your finger and eat it, and you don't have plates on couches with stuff falling everywhere. It really works. I love it though.
Yeah, I love that.
Sit down dinner. I just like, for people
fun
to be seated, and we have chairs. I think the chair is important. My parents have Chippendale chairs, and they have it's not the easiest back to sit in for a prolonged period of time. We have a cushion back chair, and I think that encourages more of a relaxed environment, and people want to linger and stay, and I think that's important.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you this. Do you guys have I know it's like choosing your favorite child, but do you have a favorite event that you've hosted that you can give us a little bit more detail on?
Oh, wow.
Not a favorite one.
Well, we both love Christmas for sure. Thanksgiving is great. I'm fortunate. I have a family. I come from a family of hunters. So we have access to Arkansas dove and duck and the wild game aspect of the evening. Everybody loves that.
Right.
Everybody.
Okay. I think my favorite so far, all these unexpected things occurred. Quinn's mother turned 80, and we threw this seafaring theme. Everybody came as
it was
like,
a mermaid party,
yeah.
really.
So we hired mermaids from this costume. Well, I don't even know this. I have no idea who this mermaid showed up. And
I think they were burlesque people.
They got in the swimming pool.
They got in the pool with their
around.
fins and stuff. It was going really well till one of the mermaids recognized somebody else, and she was like, "Hey, Al." And Al's wife is like, Al, how do you know
this woman? Oh my God.
How do you know this mer person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was hilarious. And then it rained, and then everybody's in the rain, and mermaids were in the pool splash. It was really, really unexpected. Somebody, was Ursula the Sea Witch. All of us were in Gilligan's Island themes. It turned out to be just every adversity turned into a positive. It was really fun.
And the whole reason behind that is it was my mother's 80th birthday. We had a luau for their 60th anniversary with an Elvis. You can't say Elvis impersonator or they'll quit. You have to they're called Elvis.
I don't know the new term.
It's ET Elvis. Oh God, not
Impersonators.
interpreter, but
Yeah.
impersonator they get highly offended.
Oh gosh, had no idea.
The thing is, I didn't want to see all their friends wearing the typical clothes that they would wear going to Sunday school or to a funeral. I couldn't stand it.
Tribute
So,
artist, right?
yeah, Elvis tribute
Mhm.
artist. That's what it is.
There you
ET.
go. Okay.
So yeah, we usually hire some wild, unexpected entertainment. My parents loved Elvis, and then have people come in luau costumes, and this 80 octogenarian group. I mean, they're having a ball
Mhm.
How
picking
fun
out
is that?
costumes, participating. So those were really fun. Those are really fun, and I think they felt young. They looked young. They were rocking and rolling
So
all night.
New Orleans is a big event destination place. So you have places here that rent out actors to come and do stuff. Quinn's father had a birthday party, and he hired a Marilyn Monroe lookalike to come out of
A box.
yes.
I mean, she was dressed for Gentlemen Prefer Blonde. She had the when diamonds are a girl's best friend. She was in the, and the whole restaurant was like agog while she was talking out of this box.
It was
My
great.
dad was either going to get mad and storm out, or he was going to laugh. Fortunately, he laughed. But I'm telling you, it was really a riot.
Touch and go.
That
And
sounds
book, we gave that a double praise spread in the book because it was so funny.
I remember that. Absolutely.
That's fun. Well, I took away two things from that. One is what Michael said is just kind of roll, when things happen, just kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
And two, to talk about what Quinn said, when the mermaid started talking and recognized a friend, always make sure if you have someone performing at your house, tell them not to break character in advance.
Yeah.
Or here's another Goombay smash. Step
Mhm.
up.
Right.
Right. That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
talk about, I'm not from the South, and there is just something about the way that people from the South entertain, and people from the South just know how to make everyone feel welcome. How has your experience growing up in the South influenced what you create, the way you entertain, and have people in your home?
Well, I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee during the week. My dad had a construction business, but on the weekends, we were always at my grandparents in Arkansas. And it was Mississippi County, Arkansas, Osceola, Arkansas specifically. And that was just a magical community where people as a community and friends would get together. So if they had an event like a wedding, the whole community would kind of, come together. They'd bring food or flowers or whatever needed to happen. So it was really a fun, magical place that involved, you never gave a party alone. I mean, people were always helping, just like the Shindig that my grandmother threw, after somebody died. I mean, it was tons of covered dishes came in and people were so helpful. So I think that's really what it's about for me, as opposed to, there's nothing wrong with having everything catered. And sometimes when things get too crazy. I'm a doctor and obstetrician. Michael's a lawyer. We call a caterer for this, that, and the other. But we try to have some things that we create ourselves, and other people will bring food and stuff. I think it adds a personal touch that makes people feel, they appreciate it. You took the time and you put effort into it, and I think they appreciate it.
Now, when you mentioned the South, it is pretty interesting. The South's not tiny. It's a big area, and Quinn and I grew up in different Souths. He grew up in country South, and I was really city South. So, I mean, we didn't say I'm fixing to go do things in New Orleans. We didn't have that accent. Our local accent is almost like a Brooklyn, New York sound. It has a sound to it that's really unique compared to the rest of the South. And we had oysters and shrimp and all these Creole dishes. And we entertained in a very kind of city fashion. Kids start drinking really too early here. And we're used to going to we went to lessons to learn how to dance, and they're debutante parties and stuff. It is kind of but in the country it is different. I mean, they hunt and fish a lot more, even though people do go do that. But and the food's different. They have this great cornbread dressing. That's some of the best I've ever had. I love it. And we have our oyster dressing in the Thanksgiving.
How do you think that city and your different city and country upbringings, how do you, especially for a couple entertaining, how do you successfully fuse two different points of view, as certainly your, growing up experiences being different? How do you fuse those so that you both feel like the party is you?
Oh, you embrace the best of it. Like Quinn's brother can duck hunt with his kids, and they come and bring this duck, and then his uncle has the most amazing duck recipe with wine, and we don't have good duck. This is the best duck ever, and so we love to bring our New Orleans friends and say, look what we have. You're not used to this. Come try Uncle Vin's duck recipe. And it's nice to bring what people here don't locally have, to bring to them and show them kind of what's in Arkansas that we don't have here.
I'm from the Mid-South, so that's Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas. And so when they come visit, they want seafood.
Right.
I mean, they're really disappointed if they don't get fish, crab meat, lump crab meat, and big Gulf Coast oysters. But at the same time, we integrate, the wild game and cornbread dressing. And, Julia Reed came to our house plenty of times. And one time she took off with my Uncle Ben's duck dressing and half of the Jezebel sauce and just walked out the back door.
That's something. Wow. It's such a loss that she's no longer on this planet. She was such a great hostess.
God, she was funny.
But she had such a presence. I still feel her all the time, because we have that Mid-South heritage, and she loved entertaining and cooking and sharing. So
she was an incredible Southern hostess. She knew how to entertain, and it was effortless. She just walked around and drank bourbon, and it all seemed to work. Never seemed frazzled at all. So I kind of watched her in action, and I tried to imitate how she hosted a party. She was marvelous.
So always have a bourbon in hand. Is that a tip?
Yeah. Well, I think a pre-prandial cocktail is always helpful. Yeah. You also have to be flexible. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes we'll have a dinner party and the table is set. I always set the table. I do the crystal, china, silver, glass, and flowers. And I do it usually at least 2 days beforehand, because I may have a delivery. I may have to deliver a baby. And if the table's not good and people are walking in the door, that's a real disaster.
Yeah.
So at least if you're entertaining, you should always get that done early. And then you can relax and maybe cater a few items and then have a few that you've made yourself. And I would always have some backup plans too, because even the best of chefs have had a disaster. We had one once, and we asked for help, and this other cooking person was at the party, and they're like, yikes, dial 911,
Dine 11.
I mean, one time I forgot to turn the oven on. Just totally forgot. Having fun, oh my God, you figure out ways. No one cares. I think everybody's happy to be in your house. They'll deal.
A quick reminder, the Classical Shindig by Michael Harold and Quinn Peeper is available on August 29th from Susan Schott Press, and it's available at finer booksellers everywhere. And so appreciated you're sharing the secrets today with us, for sure.
Well, thanks. And come on to New Orleans. We'll be glad to have you for a Classical Shindig.
I'm not coming to New Orleans without calling you.
Absolutely not. Sure. And, the fun thing was, and people didn't hear this, but when we were in the green room, we have several people in common.
Yeah.
And, for anyone who, when you're talking with people in other parts of the country or people you may have never met before, always look to connect the dots. And the thing that I appreciate about everything you two were talking about today, there was a level or an element of connecting dots in making sure that, guests are entertained, that everyone has a good time, and to make everything light and fun. So thank you all, and congratulations on the book.
Thanks so much.
We're excited to know y'all and look forward to more books down the way. I know it took 3 years in the making, but we can't wait for the next one after this one.
We're thinking about it. We actually have something in the making.
Oh, good. Oh, that's exciting. Did not expect to hear that. So that is fantastic.
Well, with the next book, you'll have to come on and be a guest again. We hope you'll do that.
We're happy to support it. We'll see you in Texas as well.
We're free that weekend. All right.
Well, that will do it for our combined episode of Success with Style and the Fun and Fundraising Podcast.
I'm Lance Avery Morgan.
And I'm Rob Giardinelli, reminding you to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and your guests will have a great time. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.